General Hospital spoilers reveal that Laura Wright, a familiar face beloved by General Hospital audiences for her powerful portrayal of Carly Spencer, has sparked widespread concern among fans after personally confirming that she suffered a serious accident right on set, an incident that seemed minor at first but ended up having deep physical and emotional consequences. While filming what appeared to be a routine scene, a simple moment set in Carly's familiar kitchen, Laura unexpectedly sustained a severe knee injury. With just a twist and a small step forward, her knee dislocated, abruptly halting production and forcing the crew to rapidly adjust the filming schedule to accommodate her condition. Prior to that, Laura had already experienced discomfort after a recreational pickleball match, unknowingly setting the stage for a latent injury. When she returned to set, she tried to resume work as usual, not realizing that the damage hadn't fully healed. And a familiar, seemingly harmless movement became the moment her knee gave out again. The sharp pain and loss of control not only left Laura stuck in a chair for the rest of the shoot but also marked the beginning of one of the most haunting adjustments in her decades-long acting career. Unlike temporary injuries that heal quickly, this time things were far more serious. Laura had to wear a knee brace while on set and adapt to near-total immobility. A major challenge for an actress so accustomed to physical and expressive freedom. Scenes had to be reblocked and staged with minimal movement. Though she maintained her composure and delivered her lines with the same passion and emotion as always, an invisible fear lingered, that one wrong step or sudden move could trigger a relapse and potentially force a long-term hiatus. This accident impacted more than just Laura's physical well-being. For an artist who has devoted nearly her entire life to television, being confined to a chair, especially in the role of Carly, a character known for her energy, assertiveness, and constant motion, felt like invisible imprisonment. The frustration didn't stem only from pain, but from the inability to let her body do what her spirit so deeply craved. Laura admitted that not being able to move freely made her feel disconnected from her character. In the midst of this struggle, Laura had to accept the need for recovery time. She could no longer push her body as before. She began using a stool as a central prop in Carly's kitchen scenes, not just for physical support, but as a symbol of this transitional period, one in which everything had to slow down and adapt. The production team, understanding her professionalism and dedication, quickly stepped in to redesign shots to keep her active in the scene. Instead of drawing attention to Carly's limitations, they framed the scenes so subtly that viewers wouldn't notice the actress was managing an injury behind the camera. What's admirable is that despite the pain and inconvenience, Laura Wright never allowed the injury to dim her passion for acting. She kept filming, stayed on schedule, and delivered emotional performances as if nothing had happened. Still, no one but her knows the full weight of each small movement, each cautious twist. Silent but heavy adjustments. Once the fear sets in that your body may no longer fully serve your art, the wound is no longer just in the knee, it marks the heart of an artist. Currently, Laura's condition is more stable. Though her knee has not fully healed, she has learned to manage it, wearing her brace regularly and switching from singles to doubles in pickleball. This reflects not only her resilience but the unyielding spirit of a strong woman, both on and off screen. And with millions of fans following Carly Spencer's every move, they know that behind each scene and camera angle is a Laura Wright who continues to fight through the pain, driven by a passion that never fades. Behind the scenes of General Hospital, one quiet story is now becoming a focal point of major concern within the fan community, as internal recalibrations, mounting changes, and increasingly complex complications are leading to an unavoidable reality. Laura Wright, who plays Carly Spencer, may have to temporarily step away from the show. This is no longer just speculation, it's becoming an inevitable consequence of a chain of events pushed to their limit, starting with her severe knee injury, followed by increasingly irregular production adjustments, and culminating in a series of rewrites to accommodate her condition. The challenge isn't just that Laura is struggling to complete movement-heavy scenes. It's that Carly Spencer's entire storyline is now stalled, unable to proceed at the pace originally planned. Scenes in Carly's kitchen, once the emotional epicenter of many recent episodes, have become production bottlenecks as the actress must remain seated, avoiding sudden movements. This has limited the character's psychological development, restricted physical interactions with others, and narrowed emotional arcs into a confined, stifling space. A new norm is emerging. Laura Wright, a longtime pillar of GH, is becoming an unpredictable presence in the series. Producers now face a difficult decision: keep Carly's character on screen in a limited capacity, or temporarily write her out, a move that could signal the beginning of a long-term shift. Either choice carries massive risk in terms of narrative coherence and audience reception, especially since Carly remains at the center of multiple major arcs. Her tense relationship with Nina, role as protector of Danny, alliance with Jason, and central involvement in Sunny's power struggle. This brewing storm has ignited one of the most alarming behind-the-scenes disasters at General Hospital. When a lead character like Carly is at risk of absence or reduced presence, it doesn't just unbalance the storyline, it sets off a domino effect across all related characters. What viewers may see is just Carly sitting or briefly appearing, but what's happening off-camera is a creative crisis. Writers are scrambling to revise, cut, and redirect other characters' emotional journeys to fill an unfillable void. Meanwhile, Laura Wright, despite her determination to maintain her performance and refusal to step away, is grappling with the fact that her body may no longer keep up with the show's demanding pace. The fear of one wrong move worsening the injury keeps her on high alert. But this caution clashes directly with the fiery rhythm Carly is known for, a woman who never stands still, always confronts, fights, and bursts with emotion. Forcing Carly to sit still is not just a technical workaround, it distorts the essence of a character who has become an icon over the years. While there's been no official announcement of a hiatus or exit for Laura Wright, the signs are becoming increasingly clear. If it happens, it won't just mark a somber chapter in her career, it may also trigger a risky restructuring at General Hospital, where Carly's absence could unravel decades of carefully built storytelling. In this context, fans are not only concerned about Laura Wright's injury, they're worried about the stability of an entire fictional universe they've come to love. A silent disaster is forming, not loud or dramatic like on screen, but powerful enough to change everything. Carly's storyline in Port Charles is entering a turbulent phase, as simmering backstage developments could lead to an unexpected turning point, her potential temporary absence from the main narrative flow of General Hospital. If that happens, the consequences won't simply be the absence of a familiar character. It will be a direct blow to storylines that have grown increasingly tight, complex, and tense. Carly isn't just a mother, a lover, a friend, or a family pillar, she's the emotional core of numerous escalating conflicts, particularly the strange and increasingly dangerous connection involving Brennan and Jocelyn. The new internal shift unfolding within Carly marks a profound transformation. Once a woman who drew strength from her role as a protector of her family and children, she is now forced to become a strategist in a larger game, one where emotions are no longer her sole weapon. Now, she must wield cold logic, calculated caution, and clarity to avoid falling into someone else's trap. Brennan entered Carly's life subtly, no grand gestures, no dramatic entrance, yet he gradually slipped into the emotional cracks she thought had long been sealed by past wounds. He came across as understanding, intelligent, charming, and in control, everything Carly, worn down by past relationships, was vulnerable to. But she didn't know Brennan had another target. It wasn't her heart, it was her daughter. Jocelyn isn't just a student at a prestigious university, she holds a major secret, a new identity connected to the WSB, making her more than just a bystander in Brennan's eyes. She's a potential asset to be exploited. Carly senses it. She sees signs no one else does. The way Brennan looks at Jocelyn isn't mere curiosity or protectiveness, it's calculated, observant, and deliberate. This realization throws Carly into one of the most dangerous situations she's ever faced, fighting to protect her daughter from a threat no one else believes exists, especially from someone she's beginning to develop feelings for. The story grows even more chaotic as Carly is forced to pretend nothing is wrong. She maintains her relationship with Brennan, continues their conversations, and even lets him get closer, not out of naivety, but for control. She needs to know what he knows, what he plans, and how he'll react if exposed. This necessity reshapes her. Carly is no longer a woman driven solely by emotion, she becomes a woman of strategy. And that shift is creating a frightening distance between her and Jocelyn. Jocelyn begins to notice the change. No more warm embraces, no more casual questions, no more long heart-to-hearts. Instead, she feels watched, judged, and met with suspicion at every turn. What hurts Jocelyn most is not understanding why her mother has become like this. To her, Carly is no longer a source of comfort, but someone intruding on the personal space she desperately needs. Yet Jocelyn doesn't know she is at the center of the threat Carly is desperately trying to neutralize. And in that growing distance between two strong, stubborn women who love each other in their own ways, a quiet but deep fracture is forming. If Carly disappears now, due to injury, temporary leave, or off-screen reasons, it won't just leave a gap. It'll be a black hole, pulling in all the interconnected storylines like a deadly still point where no one can move forward. The psychological burdens Carly faces, from deceiving Brennan to protect her daughter, to hiding the truth from Jocelyn, are enormous. If unresolved, they will lead to consequences that can't be undone. Because Carly isn't just facing external enemies, she's fighting herself. The part of her that still longs to trust again. The part that warns her one wrong move could cost her everything. And the mother in her, who's always lived to shield her daughter, now finds that everything is more complicated. Brennan isn't like anyone before. Jocelyn is no longer a naive child. And Carly is no longer the instinct-driven woman who can solve everything with sheer force of will. She must calculate. Stay ahead. Balance truth, deception, and love. But how do you hold it all together when every word, every look, every step could ignite a blaze you can no longer control? If Carly disappears now, not just from injury or a production pause, but from the story, it won't be an absence. It will be a rupture. A collapse of a fragile web of tension, trust, and storylines at a breaking point. Carly's current descent is quiet but violent, and the forced adjustments around her are triggering a haunting domino effect, threatening to unravel the fabric of years of relationships. She is no longer merely reacting to crisis, she is now the focal point of an uncontrollable game. And she herself no longer knows where she fits in the narrative. What's happening to Carly isn't just a plot shift. It's a redefinition of her essence, her role, and most of all, trust. As new haunting layers creep into every scene she appears in, viewers no longer see a woman confidently steering events. They see a Carly being squeezed from all sides, where relationships are no longer a refuge, but a burden. She stands at a crossroads, protect her daughter, keep secrets from Brennan, and face past consequences that have spiraled out of her control. These choices are pushing her into emotional instability. An obsessive paranoia crushing her ability to stay balanced. And in this chaos, only Jason and Sunny sense things slipping beyond reach. Jason, once Carly's silent safeguard in countless crises, now watches helplessly as uncertainty clouds her every move. Her decisions feel reactive, confused, hidden. Jason can't sit back. He starts investigating Brennan, reactivating the instincts that once kept Carly safe from countless threats. But this time, nothing is clear. He's not just fighting an outside force, he's navigating the void Carly creates as she hides the most dangerous parts of herself, fearing the truth will cost her everything, even Jason. Meanwhile, Sunny is no longer a bystander. The man who's shared countless life and death moments with Carly now senses a distance beyond their differences. She no longer shares. No longer lets him into her emotional territory. Sunny recognizes the signs of someone under manipulation. Because he's been there himself. In her eyes, he sees fear, conflict, and the desperation of someone cornered with only two choices, fight or fall apart. That's why Sunny knows, if he doesn't act now, Carly could descend into a madness no one can pull her out of. Jason and Sunny's actions begin to align, silently. They don't need to speak to know, Carly is under siege. Not just by Brennan, but by the secrets she's hiding, the choices she's forced to make, the circumstances spinning beyond her control. And when someone like Carly loses control, it's not just a personal crisis, it signals a storm that could tear Port Charles apart. Jason starts tailing Brennan. Sunny re-examines ties between the WSB and the city's underground networks. They both realize Carly is no longer the sole key to these secrets. But if she loses her central role, information will fragment, actions will scatter, and the story will unravel. That's why they both understand, if Carly falls, everything around her will fall too. Not just emotionally, but structurally. Trust, power, and the entire interconnected web of GH could collapse. Carly's story is slipping off its old axis, heading into chaotic territory no one could have predicted. And while the writers may be plotting adjustments behind the scenes, on screen, a creeping obsession is taking shape, where no single character holds control, only a cascade of irreversible choices. If Jason and Sunny don't act in time, Carly may be the first to pay the price. But if they act too late, it won't just be Carly. Port Charles itself may face a crisis like never before. Wright's 2-month break from General Hospital has immediately sent shockwaves through the production and deeply worried fans, not just because of her absence as an individual, but because Carly's storyline, currently at the eye of a storm of crucial relationships and conflicts, now faces an unavoidable and disruptive change. Carly is not only an iconic character but also the linchpin connecting a series of pivotal plotlines. From her complex rivalry with Nina, her tense protection of Jocelyn, the dangerous undertones with Brennan, to her neutral stance between two powerful forces, Jason and Sunny. Every move Carly makes on screen is not just character development, but a driving force propelling the entire web of characters that orbit her. That's why Wright's medically necessitated 2-month hiatus feels like pulling out a central pillar, plunging the narrative into an uncertain low point. The writers are now facing an unprecedented challenge: either write Carly temporarily out of Port Charles with a believable and unforced reason, or shift the bulk of the drama onto surrounding characters to keep the storyline flowing, but both options carry significant risks. If Carly disappears abruptly in the middle of escalating tension with Brennan and as Jocelyn faces a turning point regarding her identity and personal safety, audiences will feel a lack of emotional direction and a sense of abrupt disconnection. But if Carly is only referenced through dialogue, phone calls, or letters, without Wright's physical presence, the psychological weight and realism of the plot will be severely diminished. Carly's storyline has entered an intensely complex and strategic phase. Recent narrative shifts show Carly evolving beyond being merely a protective mother or a rival ex-wife. She is becoming a target of intelligence factions, drawn into a covert battle between loyalty and survival. Her connection with Brennan is spiraling beyond control, while Jocelyn is beginning to question her mother's motives. Carly's withdrawal at this stage, however unintentional, leaves the other characters in a precarious state, especially Jason and Sunny, who are both trying to understand what Carly is hiding and why her behavior has become increasingly erratic. This temporary absence doesn't just interrupt the emotional and power arcs Carly anchors, it also threatens the continuity of the secondary storylines that revolve around her. The biggest questions now are: who can become the emotional anchor for Jocelyn in Carly's absence? Who is strong enough to keep Brennan in check? Who will serve as the intermediary between Jason and Sunny, whose relationship continues to fray by the day? Without Carly, those roles are left unfilled, and the character system in GH risks becoming fragmented for at least the next 2 months. Wright stepping away from the set for health reasons is absolutely justified, but it forces General Hospital to confront a major test. How to maintain narrative cohesion in the absence of a central icon. What unfolds over these 2 months won't just be a visual gap, it will be a comprehensive test of the script's flexibility and depth. And even though Carly may temporarily vanish, her shadow, and the consequences of her still unexplained choices, will continue to haunt Port Charles, pushing everything closer to collapse if not handled with precision. Carly's story cannot be replaced. It can only be held at a high-stakes pause, waiting for her return. And when Carly does come back, she won't just be returning to pick up the pieces she left behind, she will be facing the people who thought they could move on without her. But during her absence, GH will have to continue telling the story from the shadows, where Carly is still present but cannot appear. A major challenge looms, not just for the character, but for the entire world of Port Charles.